Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the My Experience, Your Experience podcast. I'm Walker.
And I'm Lori.
And today, Mom, what are we talking about today?
Well, today we're going to be talking about Star Wars Celebration. Because as I've been looking in my Facebook feed, I've been seeing so many memories of past Star Wars celebrations. This seems to be Star Wars Celebration season.
Yeah.
Most of them have taken place during April. So into April, and then there was one late May. Lots of Star Wars celebrations. We just had, basically it was a year anniversary from when we traveled to London for Star Wars Celebration. And then about a year from now is
Japan. The second Japan?
Yes, second time it's been Japan.
Okay.
So that's coming up. So we thought that this was the perfect time to talk about celebration. We actually recorded this episode about 2 weeks ago. It was 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
2 weeks ago. And then I did a little bit of editing, and then I went away on vacation for a few days for a super long weekend. And just life has been busy, and I've tried to been getting to the editing, and it's been kind of a bear because I talk a lot about Star Wars Celebration, and you'll find out why. So what's going to happen is that we actually came back and we're re-recording this intro and wanted to let you know there's going to be some parts throughout, because while I was editing I was like, oh, I forgot that, or I got that detail wrong, and I wanted to go back and re-record some of the details. So while you're watching, you might notice that my hair color might change, Walker's hair length might change, some of the decorations behind us might change, and it's because we went back and added in some more content.
So we do apologize.
If you're just listening to this, you probably won't even notice.
Yeah.
So you can just skip over this part.
Yeah.
We're gonna jump in.
Yeah, let's do it.
All right. See Walker's shirt. I'm wearing a Star Wars Celebration. This was a crew shirt. It doesn't say it on the front, but it says crew on the back. Yours is this was from London.
Yeah, this was from last year.
This is from last year. Yeah. So we're wearing our Star Wars Celebration gear. Everything in our little shot here are all past things from our things that we've gotten at past celebrations.
Yeah.
So the thing is like, as I said, you were the Halo expert. So you had, like, you knew all the ins and outs and knew all the games and character names. I'm the celebration expert.
Yes, you are. Yes, right? You are.
So I, before this, we started shooting, I got the full list of celebrations that have taken place. And how many I count? 15 celebrations. There have been 15 celebrations, and I have been to 11 of those celebrations, and you have been to one. So far. So I'm more of the expert on that, but I think this is a good conversation to have, to share my experiences of Star Wars Celebration, and then you can share your experience when you attended your first one last year.
Okay. Yeah.
All right.
That sounds good to me.
That was my thought of our conversation this week.
Yeah.
Walker said, "Well, how are we going to go do this?" And I said, "Well, I don't know. I was thinking about going through every celebration."
Every celebration that you've been, or?
Yeah, I mean, I can mention each one. So, all right, let's start. Let's start from the beginning. 1999 was Star Wars Celebration 1. I did not attend Star Wars Celebration 1, but I do have a story. I know, shocking.
Huh. I thought you did. I don't know why I thought you did.
I was invited to go by a couple of friends of mine. They were going, and they're like, Lori and Sky, you guys have to come. And Dad could not go. I think it was because we had just opened the Kung Fu school.
Yeah, it was 1999.
1999. It was like we had only had the school open for a year, and he really couldn't take the time off. And it happened the same weekend as our first wedding anniversary. And I was like, anniversary? I don't think it would be appropriate for me to just leave my husband and not be with him on our first anniversary. So I said no.
Okay, I can see why now.
You see that? It turned out that celebration, it was in Colorado, and it rained cats and dogs. Like, it was torrential, and everybody was like in mud. It took place in a big aircraft building, like
an old military air
I don't know. I don't know if it was a military or if it was just a commercial, but I'm pretty sure it was in a big giant aircraft hangar. So it was a little bit messy. I saw pictures. My friends went. They brought pictures back. They had a phenomenal time, but it had its challenges. So there were pros and cons. Lots of rain, lots of lines. as if you have ever been to a Star Wars celebration, kind of like Disney, it's all about the lines. It really is. So that brings me to Star Wars Celebration 2. 2002, Star Wars Celebration 2. That was the first one I and your father went to. So in 2002, it was in Indianapolis, and your father and I went, and I think we may have gone with those same friends that invited us the first time. We were volunteers with the 501st. So the 501st did a lot of badge check and door duty.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, so Lucasfilm used the 501st to do a lot of security, like doing all the badge check. And so a lot of times we'd be in costume and that sort of thing. But so we were doing badge check, and John Williams was playing. Was John Williams? Was it really John Williams? Or the Pops? I can't remember. I believe that John Williams was actually playing at it, and everybody was getting in line and wanted to go and see it. And one of the things you have to do at Star Wars Celebration, mostly back then, was that you had to get in line and just pick a line and stay in it for 6 hours, right? Yeah. Whatever you do. Yep. So a bunch of people were in line for the John Williams event where he was conducting an orchestra, and at some point, the convention people who were running the convention decided they were going to rearrange the line. So it was going in one direction and they wanted to move it. And so me and your dad were like blocking a hall, and people kept coming up. They were at the top of a set of stairs, and they're like, I have to get back in line. I went to the bathroom. I went to go get something to eat. My wife's in that line. My husband's in that line. And we're like, we're sorry, but you can't go that direction. Like it's gotten shifted. And they're like, but, and we're like, we're sorry, move along, right? And so we were dressed as officers, and then some people were getting feisty, as you can imagine.
I can. That sounds accurate.
Yeah, you've been there, you know. So
I've been there.
Well,
yeah.
You've been there once, and you know.
I do know.
So people were getting feisty, and so we were saying, you can't enter this corridor. Please move along, using and then they would push a little more, and we're like, we're sorry. This is all that's in the script. You can't go down this corridor. Please move along. That was our go-to, and they would laugh. And then if they, when it got some people got a little feisty, and so we would just call over the actual security for the be like, can you handle them? Can you help them? Yeah, that sort of thing. There was a collectible item, and I don't know if they did this for Celebration 1, because as I said, I didn't go to it.
Yep.
But Celebration 2, there was a collectible item. Everybody wanted it, and it was the George Sakal, I think I'm pronouncing it right, action figure, and it was George Lucas dressed as an X-Wing pilot.
So why is it called George?
So George, it was George, but it was like Jorge. I apologize. I didn't go back and look at it. I have it. I do have it. And then Sakal is Lucas backwards. Oh. So everybody wanted a George Sakal X-Wing pilot action figure.
Who wouldn't?
And me and your dad stood in line. I want to say it was 6 hours. I think it might actually have been only about 4 hours. I'm pretty sure other people stood in line for 6 to 8 hours.
6 to 8?
Whew, yeah, it was, like I said,
you got off lucky.
Celebrations are all about standing in line. I'm pretty sure we did 4 hours. It was a long wait, but we got it.
It's better than...
They're packed up and on their way somewhere.
It's better than standing in line for 6 to 8 hours. That's how...
Yeah, and back in the day, now,
they're so much quicker.
Well, it's not even that you stand in line. Now you have to get, it's all digital, right?
Yeah, it is.
Your badges are digital, everything's digital, so it's it's like winning a lottery more so. So you don't have to go stand in those lines. But back in the day, before digital technology,
before the internet,
before all these kind of QR codes and all these kind of things, we would stand in line. So that was a big thing that we did in Celebration 2.
Yeah,
I wore my Slave Leia costume to that convention. And I walked around, lots of people took pictures, and I was in the 501st, your dad was in the 501st, and one of the other members of the 501st he had rented out a nightclub at the end, the last night of the show, and we had this big, ending bash, and he asked me to wear, all right, you may want to cover your ears, he asked me to wear the Slave Leia costume and dance in a go-go cage, and I did. So that is kind of my biggest memory. That 3, which took place in 2005, still in Indianapolis. So back-to-back celebrations were in Indianapolis. My memory of this show, I don't know why I don't have some strong memories. As I have so many memories of 2. I don't have strong memories of 3, and I don't know why.
Maybe it wasn't as big as
I don't know.
2.
It should have been. Maybe because it was in the exact same place. Some things might be blending. I really don't know. However, I was looking through pictures when I wanted to talk about this topic, and there's pictures of me dressed as it was a new costume I made. It was Go-Go R2D2. So it was kind of like a little go-go dress.
Yeah.
It was short. I wore high white boots, and I had a blue wig. And there's a picture of me and my friend Joe White. We've mentioned in past podcasts. And he was an X-Wing pilot, and he's next to an X-Wing. There was a full-size X-Wing there. And so he was standing there, and I was his little droid, right? And I remember that Celebration 2, I danced in the Go-Go cage as Slave Leia. I am pretty sure that I danced in the Go-Go, stay at the same club, in the same Go-Go cage as Go-Go R2D2. I don't think there's any pictures of that one. So there's that. Then when I was looking through the pictures, the other memories that popped up was, I'm pretty sure this is the first time I met Tim Zahn.
You know, the Timothy Zahn, you know, the author who created Grand Admiral Thrawn as well as Mara Jade, 2 of Star Wars' most iconic characters.
Like, there's a whole podcast on, we're going to have to do a whole podcast on Tim Zahn's books.
Coming soon. Maybe an interview with
Oh, that would be awesome. But let's not. Well, so anyway, I met him wearing my Go-Go R2D2. That was the picture. So I met him. He autographed a French copy of The Marriage of Luke and Leia.
Oh, that one.
That one.
Okay.
So I met Tim Zahn, and then my friend Michelle, I had this friend. She was kind of like a pen pal. We met, I think, on Star Wars like message boards.
Yeah.
And we used to exchange emails all the time, and about all Luke and Mara specifically, but about many of the books. So we would read the books kind of together, and then we would share our opinions, our reviews of.
You've told me this story.
Yes,
before.
I have shared this with you before. Michelle came up for one day for the show because she had never been to one, and so she's like, "What can I do in one day?" And I was like, "Oh, celebrations are like you have to stand in line.
You have to stand in line.
Like
you
pick
have
two things that you want to do.
You have to be there for the entire weekend just to experience.
It's really hard. So I said, okay, what is it that you want to see, and what is it you want to do? I can't quite remember all the things that we did. However, I did get to introduce her to Timothy Zahn, and that was kind of like a highlight because his books were what brought our friendship together. Yeah. So that was really cool, and so she got to meet Timothy Zahn. So,
something will trigger those memories. You'll be like, oh, I did that at Celebration 3, this, that, and
I'll come across some pictures. Somebody will post pictures somewhere, and I'll be like, that's what happened at Celebration 3, but I can't remember. Talking Darth Vader. That's what I was going to talk about. Talking Darth Vader. So in Celebration 2, it was the George Sakal action figure. At Celebration 3, it was the Talking Darth Vader action figure, which was super cool. I have one. The line, I don't think we stood at. I think that they had figured out their line situation.
How long do you think you stayed in line for that?
I would have never stood in a line for 4 hours for a collectible. So it must have been. It was much shorter. I don't know what it was, but I think they had their.
Maybe it was 2 hours.
I really don't know. But we got it. And so that was the big collectible. And we did
All you need to know is that it was definitely shorter.
It was definitely shorter than Star Wars Celebration 2. I do recall that.
Yeah.
So those are my memories of Star Wars Celebration 3. Again, there wasn't that many highlights. I can't even remember the panels I saw or anything. I don't remember. But there you go. Star Wars Celebration 4 was in Los Angeles, California. It was at the Los Angeles Convention Center. It was a little too small. The hotels were a little too far away, but it was the first time I was working with the Elite Squad, and I was assigned to the kids' room, the family room.
Oh, I've been to the family room before. I haven't worked it, but I've been there, and from what stories that I've been told, it doesn't suit it there. I mean, yeah, you're with a bunch of kids, which sounds nice, but when you're assigned there all day, it just sounds.
It was very long. It was very long days, and I worked a lot of hours and didn't really get to see much of the show. However, highlights. Highlights.
Tell me highlights.
Highlights of working in the family room. At least that for this show in LA. I helped Bonnie Burton, who had written like a crafting book on Star Wars. She used to write for StarWars.com, and she worked at Lucasfilm. She was doing a crafting activity where you like sewed a little Star Wars character, and I actually recently just found it. I made a little. I made an R2D2. So I think we had a pre-sew and stuff. It was the first time I met Matt Bush.
Oh wow!
And because he did a little activity, you can draw Star Wars.
Yep.
And we drew some. I helped kids draw. So I ended up working a lot with the artists and the guests who were doing workshops, and that was really cool. Yeah. So, yes, I met Matt, and then I met a whole bunch of other people. So, I made the best of it.
Yeah.
But we worked really hard, and we spent a long time. And I don't know why, but they always tend to put the family room. I always say that if there's a bright center to the convention, the family room is in the spot that's furthest from. You get it?
Yeah, I do get it.
It is the furthest thing away from any of the activity, typically. So another thing we did at Celebration 4, which was in LA, because it was in LA. So right around this time, a company called Master Replicas had started making lightsabers. They made the first lights, the most popular, the one that everybody was getting, the most mainstream, I guess.
So they were the original.
The original of the lightsabers, not like the plastic ones, but like metal handles, glowing blade, like really cool looking.
Yeah, those.
And your dad and I had a couple, and they were at the show, of course. And they decided they were going to do a lightsaber competition. So people could sign up and do performances. It wasn't like a battle. It was just like a kata in martial arts or form in Kung Fu. And you would do this choreographed routine and they would score you. And it was like celebrities who scored you. It was Jeremy Bullock, Richard Lapierre, Grandma, Darn Blake. This is what happens when you get old.
Wait, say his name again?
He was one of the Moffs in the Death Star.
Oh, okay.
He was the one that got choked, maybe, I think.
Oh.
Anyway, a bunch of celebrities were the judges. And so, of course, me and your dad being martial artists, so your father and I decided to do lightsaber forms, and it was held at the Jim Henson Studios, which was really kind of cool to be able to have to go to Jim Henson Studios. Yeah. There's a big Kermit the Frog coming out of a wall. There was like a little office that you could explore, like a little exhibit. Basically, it was behind a window.
I kind of want to know what goes on in that studio.
I don't know. I don't know if it's
lots of Muppets.
And it was outdoors, and it was at night. So a couple of things happened there. It kind of got dewy, and they had big rubber mats on the ground, and so people were slipping and sliding on the rubber mats. Oh. It was kind of dark, which was cool for lightsabers because you saw them spinning, but it was hard to see.
Yeah, which makes it.
But it was a fun experience. I didn't win. I don't think your dad won.
And then told me that he got second place.
He may have, but he had to fly off right from it.
Oh, that's right.
To go home because there was something he had to do at home, so he had to leave that convention early, and he left all his lightsabers with me to bring them back.
Oh yeah. Do we want to tell this story? Brings too much.
Can you imagine what possibly happened?
We'll let you discuss that in the comments below. So who'd you meet?
Who did I meet there?
Who'd you meet there?
Who did I meet there? I also met there. I think I met him at the show because I met Matt Bush, who is a Star Wars artist. He's done a bunch of Star Wars art. He's been in the Artist Alley at Celebrations a bunch of times. He's done artwork for a celebration. I'm not sure if it was specifically this one, but he was in the middle of doing a series at a show, right?
Yeah.
Called a series. It was called You Can Draw Star Wars, and he was releasing it on StarWars.com. So I think he was doing it through. I'm pretty sure he was doing it through Lucasfilm. Matt, you can correct me if I'm wrong.
This is news to me.
But he did also make CDs, DVDs. He made DVDs.
Remember those?
And I had a whole bunch of them, and Walker was obsessed with them. Totally off topic. Obsessed with them. He would watch them over and over again. However, Matt, oh, by the way, Matt Bush got married today while we're recording this.
Yeah, you're right.
Oh, yesterday. Anyway, this weekend.
Oh, yeah, Saturday.
It's Saturday.
Well, you saw that.
Anyway, Matt Bush got married this weekend.
Yeah. So congrats to you, Matt.
So he was watching Dad do his lightsaber form, and he's like, "You move like Darth Maul," and he's like, "Can I record you for my little series that I'm doing? It's my little video series." And Dad's like, "Of course." So if you have that DVD, if you have a couple of those DVDs, you can find Scott, my husband, Walker's dad, doing a lightsaber form. A bit of it on there.
I clearly remember that. I know that video so well. And
you're like, "That's Dad."
I know. That's all I picture. I'm just like, it's Dad doing this, and then Matt is also trying to use.
Oh yes, Matt's like, "Can I use your lightsabers and do it?" Anyway, a lightsaber competition, which was really kind of cool. But they don't think they've ever done that before.
I know they should do those again.
They do the lightsaber classes and lightsaber workshops. You can go and learn how to do lights. Then we jetted off to Star Wars Celebration Europe in London, England in 2007.
So the first Europe.
First time in Europe. And I got to go to that one. And I again worked. And I worked with Steve Sansweet.
Is that how you met Steve?
No, I met Steve at Dragon Con.
Oh,
years prior. And then at the Rose Parade, we got to know each other even better. And then when I worked with him at the first Star Wars Europe, Star Wars Celebration Europe as well. But that was a lot of fun. I got to go a lot of behind the scenes stuff with Steve. So that was a fun gig.
Fun.
Then I got the call, "Lori, can you help? The next Star Wars Celebration is going to be in Japan in the summer. We would love it if you would come and help out on the Elite Squad." I was going to be about 6 months pregnant with Caden. And I was like, I just didn't want to. It was so far away.
How many hours is Japan away from here?
It's 12 hours. 14 is the time change, but it is a long trip. And
6 months pregnant with a boy.
Yes, and I carried big.
12-hour flight.
I carried big. You and Caden were really big.
That doesn't sound like fun.
So it was. I had to say, I don't think I could be on my feet
for very long.
Yeah, when you work a celebration, you were on your feet a lot. And,
my God.
Right?
My feet were aching.
My experience, a lot of on your feet, and like I said, I am a very large pregnant woman, so I had to politely decline that invitation.
Oh.
So the next one was, it jumped 2 years. Star Wars Celebration 5 was in Orlando, Florida, at the Orlando Orange County Convention Center, which has been several times. That one is a very important one as well. So my duty there was, I worked the exhibition floor. We did some security. We had some Elite Squad wandering around and helping out with different things. But there was a thing called a fan stage in the exhibitor space, and they had a couple of different little presentations, little panels kind of thing, right? One of them was Ashley had her first, I think it was her first fashion show.
Her first fashion show.
She had her first fashion show on the floor. So it wasn't in a theater, and one of the big rooms. It was just in the middle of the exhibition. And they had a little fashion show. And so Mary had asked if I could also help her with however she needed. So that was the first time I met Ashley.
2010.
I met her in Florida. I went to her booth right at near the beginning of the convention. I had reached out to her. I had emailed her prior to the convention to let her know that I was going to be there. But the real reason I reached out to Ashley was that from her universe, who invented her universe. But so Ashley had launched her universe, and I and a few friends of ours had a website back in the day, back in 1999. So that was about 10 years prior. Wow. About 10 years prior, we had launched a website called StarWarsChicks.com, and it was all about elevating and supporting the female Star Wars fan, because back in those days, people were You're a girl. You can't like Star Wars. And 10 years later, 2010, that was still kind of the situation. And Ashley knew that.
Yeah.
And she really wanted to elevate the opportunities for female fans. And one of the things was being able to give them fashion attire to wear, to proudly wear their stuff. So I had made, me and my friend Tammy had designed a t-shirt that we then sold online to raise money for breast cancer, and we got Lucasfilm's permission and everything. I think we raised $10,000. It was amazing.
I didn't know that.
So I had, Ashley had launched her universe, and then she was going to be at Celebration, I had reached out to her and I said, I don't know if you know, this is who I am and that sort of thing. And she wrote back and she was like, oh my God, you were part of like my research. Like that was one of the sites we looked at. Like you proved the fact.
Geez, where have I heard that before?
I don't know.
Serious sense of deja vu.
Last summer.
Yeah.
So when I was at Star Wars Celebration and I heard that I was going to be working a little bit with Ashley, I went up to her booth and I introduced myself, and she was like, "Oh, I'm so glad to meet you in person." I gave her a shirt, so a Star Wars chick shirt. I think I gave her a Star Wars chick pin, and then I helped her at the fashion show. And basically, what it was like taking some of her universe stuff, but then there was some other things, because some other companies were starting to launch Star Wars fashion. One of them was Nordstrom's. I'm pretty sure it was Nordstrom's, and there was a t-shirt with some stormtroopers on it. And I after the show was over, I got to keep that. She was like, if there's something you want, you can take it. And so I don't know if you've ever seen it. I haven't worn it in a long time, but it's like a gray shirt and has like 3 stormtroopers on it.
Ooh.
So that was my highlight of my first Orlando celebration.
Now I think you've told that story to me before, but now I know officially where and when you actually met Ashley.
That was the first time.
2010.
Then Celebration 6 was also in Orlando. Then I got shifted. My next role in working at the Celebration was working at the Celebration stage. That was the main stage.
Yes. Yep. That's.
Yeah, you got to work that.
It was when I worked Star Wars Celebration last year. That's where I was assigned, and.
But so you were assigned in a different role though. You were assigned in the outside, like line
outside
management
crew,
and like helping people, like ushering people and sitting. At this point, we were working behind the stage.
I want to do that now.
So it was very cool. We got to work backstage, and Orlando Celebration 6, Orlando, Florida. That one was the first time I met Mark Daniel.
Really?
Yep.
Oh.
Yep. That was because that was the first time I worked at the main stage, and he was emceeing. Like he would do the warm up.
Yep.
So that was the first time I met Mark. We worked really hard at that show. We always work really hard, but there was a lot of like just keeping. We had to coordinate a costume contest. I don't know. There was a bunch of things. There's always chaos going on behind the stage. Always chaos going on.
Oh yeah.
Like where's the celebrity? Have they not arrived yet? So and so wants a specific item for food. That sort of thing.
Trust me, I know.
Yeah,
I know.
I think our favorite memory of that one was Carrie Fisher was going to be on a panel, and it was late. They finally got her to the backstage, and the food for the celebrities often there would be like snacks and stuff, craft services as they call it, in the back. And there was a lot of like at that point cheese and crackers and vegetables and that sort of thing. And like it was called a crudité, but it's like chopped vegetables and dip.
Yep.
And she did not want it, and she was like, the only thing I've had all day long is a cupcake. And she's like, I want a burger. And at this point, all the kitchens, like all the food, because it's late. Yeah, it was, I don't know why they had one so late, but it was late. She had a late panel. All the food, like all the food court spaces are all closed.
Yeah.
And so I had a direct line to the catering manager for the convention center.
Get Carrie a burger.
I need a burger for Carrie Fisher stat. So he sent somebody off to like a local burger joint and brought that and a Diet Coke, I think, or a Tab, one of those. And it arrived. She took one bite of it, a swig of the soda, and then went onto the stage. So then the next one was Star Wars Celebration Europe 2. This one was in Germany, and once again I wasn't able to go, and I think we just couldn't swing it. I think me and your dad both wanted to go, and we just weren't able to make it happen. So there wasn't anything specific, but we missed Germany. That one, however, was the first one that our friend Nadine worked at.
I was about to ask. I was just like, is that? I was like, and then once you told me that you guys couldn't make it, I'm just like, then they.
How did I meet Nadine?
How did you meet Nadine?
Nadine, I met in 2015 at Celebration Anaheim 2015. And that is when I met Nadine. So at that, I worked backstage, main stage, at Celebration Stage again. Nadine had done the same thing in Germany, and so now she was at the Celebration Stage in Anaheim. And so that was the first time I met Nadine, and we've been friends ever since. Nadine and I. And once again, we were. I think your dad. Yes, he worked that. He also worked backstage for this one. He was on the team. Goodness, they blend. They really blend. They do. Then we jumped to 2016 and Star Wars Celebration Europe. It's 3, but they're not calling it 3. They're calling it Star Wars Celebration Europe 2016. Once again in London. We come back to London for the second time.
Yep.
And that one where was I working? That one I got shifted to work at the autograph area. I was backstage of autograph area. And,
I think I remember that. Yeah.
And helping out with the StarWars.com Star Wars Live stage. So my job was trying to make sure to get the people from the autograph space over to when the live stream needed them.
I feel like you kind of had a similar situation last year. Is that because you were behind the StarWars.com stage as well as you were nearby the autograph area?
But this one I was more involved with the autograph area, but really was not with the autographing. It was my job was to kind of keep an eye out for things and troubleshoot any issues was my role.
Sounds like a lot of responsibility.
So this was the year. So let's see, 2016. How old were you, Walker?
I was. Let me do the math real quick.
You were born in 2004.
Hold on 1 second. I was 12.
12. He was 12 years. Walker was 12 years old.
The year that Rogue One came out.
And you were very anxious about me being in London and being so far away.
Was I?
Yes, you don't remember it, but you were.
No,
you were a call. I think you may have had a phone at that point. Not a phone, but maybe a. I think you had the text. You had the.
I don't even think I have that phone. I don't even. Do I still have it or
I think
not?
It might be floating around the house somewhere.
It might be. I don't know where
so
it is.
So it was
though.
like one that you just text like with
Yeah,
like,
I didn't have.
It was
a
not
smartphone.
It was not a smartphone.
Yeah.
So you would text me, and
I would text you constantly, and I was freaking out.
Yeah, you were very anxious. But at one point, I'm backstage of the autograph area, which was also backstage of the digital stage, and standing there, and it was also the back door to the autograph and the digital stage. I was standing with Kristen, our friend Kristen.
Kristen Hidalgo?
Yeah, Kristen, Dave Filoni.
What? I don't think you told me.
Ashley Eckstein.
You were standing with Dave?
And I was standing with Dave.
You didn't tell me that part.
And I was standing with Ashley, and you had texted me, and I had said to Ashley, could you do me a huge favor? Could you talk to Walker? Because he's so super anxious about me being so far away from home, and he's really missing me. And so she got on the phone, and she talked to you.
To be honest, I didn't really, I think, so when I had called you, or you had called me, and I had picked up, and you're like, there's someone who wants to talk to you, and then you put Ashley on the phone, and it was like, to us, I had no clue what to say. Like, I said some stuff, and I can't really remember the details, but it was something like, maybe I spoke a few words, and that was sort of like it, because
I think you were stunned. I think you were shocked.
Because Ashley was on the other end of the line.
Yes, so she called you and talked to you.
Yeah.
So that was a little highlight. The other highlight of
Didn't you record a video of Ashley?
No, I don't think
send to us. You were at Star Wars Celebration.
Oh yes. There is a video.
Yeah, was that the?
We were in the store.
Yeah,
I brought into the store, and we did I didn't
realize you were in the store. I thought you were behind stage.
The store was close by, but we were. It was a shopping night. The other thing about Star Wars Celebration Europe 2016 was the first time I got to meet Sam.
2016?
2016.
Wow.
So Sam, Samantha is the first female stormtrooper to appear in a movie.
Yep.
And I was at a bar with Kristen Hidalgo and Pablo Hidalgo and a bunch of other Lucasfilm folk and friends of mine.
Weren't you there with Andy Gutierrez, or was that?
Yes, Andy Gutierrez was there. Like it was the whole the live crew were all there because I was working with them.
Yeah.
So we were at a bar at the hotel, and James, our friend, our friend James Flood, comes brings over this tall like statuesque woman, and he's like, "Oh, Lori, have me and James had this little game where we tried to figure out who knew more people in different spaces. Like, do you know them? And if I knew them and he didn't know them, then I would introduce them to him, and vice versa. So we would always try to find people that we knew that the other person didn't know, so that we can introduce them to him.
Well, if James is going to Star Wars Celebration next year, and if so are we, then I say let's get that game back. Back up.
It is a fun game. James and I have met a few interesting people. Oh my god, I can't remember who it was. I'll get to that one. Anyway, so James brings over Samantha, and he's like, I want to introduce you to my friend Samantha, who you just met, but because we played this game. And so, she introduced herself, and I was like, wait, you were a stormtrooper in the movie. And she's like, yeah. And I was like, you're my idol? I go, this is the most important thing to me. This is like one of the most important Star Wars-y things to me. When I joined the 501st, one of the things that always made me like set my heart aflutter in a way is when you see like this line of stormtroopers and they're all in their armor and they all have their helmets on, right? And there's this line of stormtroopers and they're looking impressive and that sort of thing. And then somebody goes, all right, buckets off, because we finished taking a picture, and everybody takes their helmets off. So they take buckets off. And everybody helmets come off and you see all these guys, right? Yep. And then one comes off and you see this long flowing hair come out and it would just be like, yes, girl, there's a woman in that armor. And so Sam being a real, right? But because she's in the movie, as a female stormtrooper, like was just like a dream come true for me. Yeah. We're gonna have to have Sam on a podcast, and we will talk about just Star Wars fandom and agreed and things. I was wearing a stormtrooper dress. I was wearing a dress that I made, and I talked to her about like how like it's still, even with her universe, it's still always hard to find things, and so I would make my own clothes and stuff like that, and we just hit it off like that.
The rest is history.
The rest is history. So Sam and I love you, Sam.
I can't believe it took me. It was 2016
to meet her in person. Yeah, it's been a long time. Time goes by way too quick.
Hold on. So it only took me 7 years to finally meet her in person.
Yeah, but you met her on.
I've met her on Instagram and such. But
we've done some like live streams together. That was my memory of Star Wars Celebration Europe 2016. Then we move on to Star Wars Celebration Orlando 2017. Where was it? Oh, all right. So I had moved to Autograph area once again in Orlando in 2017. I was once again because the StarWars.com people really appreciated the work that I did. Yeah. So they asked Mary if I could do that role again. So once again, I was an Autograph StarWars.com stage. So
you're in the same.
Yeah,
same
I consider myself like a runner, like a production assistant, which is basically what I was listed, right? It's like a production assistant. And I would just check in I would have the list of the celebrities who were supposed to be on the stage at what time, and I would check with them every morning, make sure everybody knew where they needed to be, and then just take care of troubleshoot, right? And help out wherever I could. That one was the first time where celebrations landed on Easter.
Oh, that's right.
And because you and your brother were still young, and you were home, and dad didn't come with me to that when I went by myself. I felt like I had to be at home for Easter.
You couldn't miss it.
I couldn't miss Easter. So I had to leave that one early, which...
It was like a day early, I think?
Yeah, the last day is always Sunday.
And
so I flew out on Saturday night so that I could be home on Easter morning.
That's right.
So I missed the last day of that one.
It was either I think it might have been the Star Wars Rebels Season 2 trailer that came out, and the next morning you had woken me up and you put it on the TV, and then that was the reveal of Rex returning to Star Wars again.
That's right. Yep.
Yeah.
So another cool thing that happened at Celebration Orlando 2017 was that I got to participate in my first panel, like not just go to a panel, but actually help run a panel. So my friend Jazz had reached out to me. He and I had over the years made lots of cool, our own Star Wars fashion, usually using Star Wars fabrics or reinventing other Star Wars items like t-shirts and pajamas and that sort of thing. And he reached out to me and he's like, I have this great idea. Let's do a panel on how to make your own fashion. So it was called The Force of Fan Fashion Panel. And we did it along with a couple other Star Wars fans who love to make their own Star Wars fashion as well. And we had a panel with about 100 people or so came and saw it, and it was a lot of fun. I would have to say that it was really inspired by Ashley with all the work that she does for Star Wars fashion. And Jazz and I had an awesome time running that panel, and maybe someday in the future we'll run another one.
What's my favorite memory from that? Probably getting a hug from Sam Witwer.
Oh, yeah.
That was my memory of 2017.
You tell... I'll let you tell the story.
You want to tell that story? Okay. So that story of me getting a hug by Sam Witwer.
Star Killer, by the way, also Darth Maul.
Yes, and I remember him from Europe because there was a panel with him on it. So I was at the autograph area, and I would be over by like the back door where all the celebrities would come in, just like scoping things out, make sure, because people jump curtains. I think that was probably my biggest job, was like flagging security when people were jumping curtains.
Oh,
like going behind stage.
Yeah.
So I think it was early in the morning. Like the convention was probably just starting, and I was hanging out by the back door, and Matthew Wood,
yep.
Matt Wood comes through the door, and Matt Wood, who plays General Grievous,
yep,
is somebody I've known for a long time. He used to go to. We met him at Dragon. Me and your dad met him. So Matt, I had seen Matt many times, so we knew each other by face. And he came through the door, and I'm like, Matt, morning, and he's like, hey, and he gives me a big hug. I'm like, all right, we give each other a big hug because we hadn't seen each other well. And he had come in with Sam Witwer, and Sam goes, what? I don't get a hug? And I was like, I'll give you a hug if you want one. He's like, bring it in. And so I gave him a hug.
That's Star Killer.
That's the highlight.
What am I
my
getting?
Experience
of
Star Wars Celebration Orlando 2017.
What am I getting? My hug from Star Killer. I want one. Sam Witwer's also someone that we need to have on the podcast. Sorry, just saying. I'm getting a whole list here.
When we're big and famous, we'll have all these people on our Star Wars Celebration Chicago 2019. This one was a little tough, in that things had kind of the person who was running the event kind of shifted, and we had to we didn't
adapt.
Yeah, we had to adapt. So me and the team, the other Elite Squad members, didn't really know what our roles were going to be at this point. And we didn't really find out until like the night before the convention.
Oh no!
And it was really kind of crazy. And then I ended up back at the family room. I was not happy.
Oh no! I bet you weren't.
However, again, the reason why there's so much that happens. There's so much fun stuff that happens in the family room. There really is.
Chicago.
Okay. The family room is a great place for families to go when they have young kids, to do some activities, to sit down and relax and be like away from the craziness of the convention. But that also means that everybody who's there helping is away from the craziness of the convention. We all actually want to be in the craziness of the convention.
Yeah, you don't want to be in the quiet place of the convention. You want to be in all the craziness where everyone else is.
Yeah. But one of the cool things that happens, there's lots of guests who come through to do different workshops with kids and the families. And so that's kind of the area that I enjoy about those spaces. So like I would help with Chris. I'm forgetting his last name. He has a book on origami. So he was doing origami, Star Wars origami. I met Pat. We made these tiny little porgs. He made these little porg kits, and you had to paint these little porgs and glue them to like a little log. There was a bunch of little activities, and it was fun to do that sort of thing.
Was that the celebration that you had run into Anthony
Daniels?
You two were walking by, and then you two saw each other, and then you both started to approach each other, and the security guard was just like, "Oh!" He started to walk over, and then he realized, "Oh wait, they actually know each other."
Yeah. So as I was saying, typically, the family room is, if it's the bright center of the convention, the family room is in the corner that's furthest from.
Yeah.
This one indeed was the case.
Yeah.
However, outside the door was an escalator.
Oh.
And the escalator was the escalator that all the celebrities took to leave the green room for the autograph hall was above us.
Yeah.
And they would take that escalator to come down. So if you hung out at the door of the family room, you would see all the celebrities going.
Didn't you see Hayden Christensen?
I saw Hayden Christensen. So we saw Anthony.
Yeah.
I would say lots. I saw Peter. That was the only time I saw Peter. That was the last time I saw Peter. Was coming down the escalator.
Peter Christian?
Peter Mayhew.
Oh, Peter Mayhew. Oh.
Yeah, that was right before he passed. At one point, I'd seen Anthony coming and going, and then it was kind of a quiet moment, so I was kind of like hanging out by the door, and he came down, and because that's another big podcast, but yes, I know Anthony, and he came down, and I caught his eye, and a lot of times there were security guards there, and people would hang by the stanchions. It was cordoned off, and people would hang there trying to and they were like, move along. Move along. So the security guards there knew us because we were in that room, so they would see us all the time. But I was kind of hovering, and they're like, I could see the security guys like back up, and then Anthony's like, "Oh, Lori," and he comes over and gives me a big hug. And so the security guard's like, "Oh, okay."
Okay. He knows her, and I'm gonna stay out of it.
Yeah. That celebration was it was rough for multiple reasons. I'm not really going to get into it.
Sounds like it.
It was probably one of my roughest.
I think you've also told me some of that stuff. It's just been a while.
Okay, a few more highlights from Chicago. I had said earlier on that it was a hard show. There was a lot of controversy in that show. There's a lot of baggage in that show.
I kind of want to know.
However, there was a lot of good highlights, and I've spoken about a couple already, but there was a few that I forgot, so we're adding these. One of my most favorite things was our good friend Kristen Hidalgo. She knew I was having a really rough time for that show, and the 501st always has a big bash, and me and your dad, we used to go to them all the time because we were active members of the 501st. And you would be on the boards and you get tickets. Fine. Now we're not active members of 501st. Other people, non-501sters, can go, but it's a huge bash. It costs a lot of money. There's a lot of things that go into it. We haven't been to a bash in a really long time. But Kristen had guest tickets to the bash, so they give there's some VIPs that the 501st give tickets to, and Kristen had a ticket, and I think she was bringing somebody else along, and she knew an author who was also going, and he had a +1, but he wasn't bringing anybody. So he and she's like, "Can you bring my friend Lori, or can she be your +1 that ticket?" And they're like, and he's like, "Of course." So Kristen invited me to the 501st bash, and it was so what I needed, to be able to go and be with friends, in the VIP section, which was really kind of cool. Wow. The other thing about this party was that it was held at the Chicago Science Museum. I don't know if that's the official title, but it was a science museum there in Chicago.
Oh.
An amazing museum. And at that point I was working at the Museum of Science in Boston. So it was kind of cool because I was like away, and I was like taking pictures and sending them back to my colleagues. We were like, "Look, I'm at another science museum." So I'm like, I'm kind of doing work while I'm here. So we did that. And then I also got to see, again, my good friend Sam Elaine. And I love her dearly, and she has just the biggest smile, and I crossed paths with her, and she gave me the biggest hug, and it really made my day. So she was also at the bash, and we also got to hang out and do a little dancing, and it was great fun. So it was always wonderful seeing her. And I forgot, this is another highlight of Chicago.
Tell me.
Due to the controversy of things that were happening, I wasn't really sure the day I arrived at Celebration Chicago, I didn't actually know what my role was going to be. I didn't know because I worked.
One of those.
I wasn't even sure if I had a ticket to get there. Like
Wait, what?
It's a long, complicated story. So I reached out to James, my friend James Floyd, and he's been running at some of the celebrations a bounty hunt activity where you get these hints and you have to go to all these different places throughout the convention and do something or interact with somebody, answer a question.
So kind of like a scavenger hunt.
It's like a scavenger hunt, but they call it a bounty hunt. And it was really cool. So he was looking for some people to help, and if you did that, then you got a badge. So like an exhibitor's badge kind of thing, right? So or a panelist badge, I guess what it is. So I was able to get a badge through him for it. I ultimately did end up working with the family room, but I also ended up getting a badge through James as well. So I did 2 days. I did the bounty hunt, and I dressed as a female Luke Skywalker. I have the yellow jacket, and I have a skirt with the stripe that he has, the yellow stripes filling up. So it's a brown skirt instead of brown pants. Me and Cher, who was dressed as
As the holiday special Boba Fett.
The holiday special Boba Fett. I was her bounty. I think like she was. I think I was her prisoner, and so somebody had to come. They had to fight me. I had to do a lightsaber.
I had to fight you.
Yeah, because I was Luke Skywalker. I'm not sure what the full details were, but I do remember people would come up with a lightsaber. I think we had like lightsabers, like maybe plastic lightsabers, and they would have to fight me, which was very weird.
Why did you fight the hero?
I don't know. It was very strange, but it was fun.
The bad guys.
But it was fun because a lot of guys would come up and be like, "Oh, I can." It must have been like a pool noodle one because I think you had to like fencing, like you had to tag me.
Yeah.
And I knew how to. I knew how to defend myself. So a lot of times people came up and they were a little impressed. They're like, "Oh." She knows what she's doing.
Okay, so this is a little bit harder than I thought it would be.
It was a little bit harder than I thought it would be. But it was a lot of fun, and I really enjoyed that. I would love an opportunity to do that again.
Yeah, James, bring those back.
Bring those back, James. It's a lot of work for him and his team, but
come now. That sounds like fun.
It was a lot of fun.
I'd do it.
You would totally do it.
I would do it.
A moment of really the last day of that celebration, I had not seen Ashley at all that convention. Which is weird because normally I would see her.
That's very weird.
And I hadn't had a chance to cross paths with her. And it was the last day of the convention. I think everybody was like, they were having the closing ceremonies over at the celebration stage. Yep. I couldn't go there because I had to hang out at the family room because it was still open.
All those little kids.
And Ashley came down the escalator. And it was like a beam of the sun had risen because I was feeling so down because it was such a hard show that year, and for so many reasons, and I was very, very emotional, and I was feeling very upset that I was like so far away from all my friends who were all celebrating the closing of the show, and there were so many people and so many things that I had missed. And then Ashley comes down the escalator, and I was able to kind of get get a picture with her, like get a big Ashley hug, and get a little selfie with her, and it just kind of brightened. It really lifted up that whole show. I mean, there were highlights, there were, but it was just at that moment because I had to like kind of hold the fort in the family room while everybody else was kind of going off hard. So the other thing was me and James in our little game, right? Like meet people and introduce, like, do you know this person? How many people do you know? We met, I can't remember his name. Do you remember in the cartoon The Resistance?
Like Star Wars Resistance?
The Star Wars Resistance, right?
Yeah.
Do you remember the little shop that had the shopkeeper who would like give them parts and stuff?
He's from SNL.
He's from SNL. Do you remember his name?
I don't remember his name.
Google it real quick. Bobby Moynihan. That's
Bobby
it.
Moynihan.
Bobby, all right.
That's what it was.
Sorry, ready? Bobby Moynihan.
Right.
We figured it out. We looked it up. So James and I were hanging out at the hotel lounge, right? Bar. It was a little combination of things.
Why do you meet so many people at the bar?
That's that. Walker's only 20.
I'm only 20.
Next year, anyway.
I've already been to a bar.
You've been to the bar and you've
been to the bar,
right? You've been to the bar in London. So we were in the bar, the lobby, the area, the lounge area at the hotel. James is like, he's not shy when it comes to things like this. He gets up and he's like, "Hey, Bobby." He's like, I'd really like to introduce you to my friend Lori. He's like, "This is my friend Lori," and Bobby's like, "Oh, it's great to meet you," and he shakes my hand and we shake, and then I say, because I think because that's what James goes, oh my God, that's Bobby Moynihan over there. And I'm like, it is. I'm like, oh my God, it is. He's like, I don't know him. And I go, I don't know him either. And he's like, let's go meet him. So he goes, hey, Bobby, this is my friend Lori. I'd like to introduce you. And he's like, hey, Lori, it's nice to meet you. And he shakes my hand. And I go,
he just...
and I go, this is my friend James. I'd like to introduce you to my friend James. And he shook his hand.
I don't get it.
And so it's just our little game. Right,
yeah.
James? We have fun. That's how we meet people.
Apparently.
That's my tip to you. Just go up and introduce yourself. Mostly if you're at a lounge at the hotel.
Basically, if I see Giancarlo Esposito, I should be like, hi, John.
I'm
Giancarlo Esposito. I'm Walker. This is my friend, mother, Lori.
So I met Bobby Moynihan.
I remember that story.
That's a highlight. All right. So those are my memories of Chicago.
Jazz hands.
Then we come to Star Wars Celebration Anaheim 2002 and 2022. It's 2022. I was supposed to go to that one, and I'm gonna get emotional. I'm sorry.
That's okay. It's okay.
Oh my God. 2022. I was supposed to go to Anaheim.
Yep.
Making all the plans.
Yep.
We had you weren't gonna go to that one. It was just me.
It was just you.
Coordinating with the elite squad, getting everybody roles and responsibilities and stuff. And as we got closer and closer to it, my mom came down with cancer early, about 6 months prior, and started to decline. And so I had to back out last minute. And so I wasn't able to go. I still kind of worked it from afar, which was great because I felt really connected.
Yeah.
And all my friends.
People were FaceTiming you.
People were FaceTiming me.
I was walking home from school.
Give me a tissue.
Yes.
I'm sorry, I'm getting emotional. That's right. So my friends from Anaheim would FaceTime me, and I told them that I wanted selfies with if they could send me selfies of themselves and any celebrities
formal capacity
or any people that we mutual friends and that sort of thing. And so I did. I would get pictures sent to me, and that sort of thing. And so I wasn't able to go, but I mentioned that too because while I was trying to find stuff for our little display back here, I realized I opened up a box. I still get super emotional. I opened up a box of stuff that had been shipped to me, and I had opened it when it got shipped to me after the convention. And it had a very nice little note from my fellow Elite Squad colleagues. With a bunch of great things in it. And I feel like because my mom passed away the day after Star Wars Celebration 2022. So it was kind of a crazy summer, right?
Yeah, it was.
Walker graduated high school.
I did.
He went to his prom. We had a graduation party.
Yep.
And
that was a long few weeks.
We went away. We went to Maine. So it was just.
Then we went to New Jersey.
We went to New Jersey.
It was a long summer.
It was a long summer,
Really
and
long summer.
I never really got to I opened it and I appreciated it, but never got to say thank you really to the team.
Yeah.
So I just thought I would take this moment to share some of the cool things that I got out of my care package from Celebration Anaheim 2022. This shirt. How did I forget this shirt, Walker?
I know. I was just like, I haven't seen
Look at that shirt.
It still has the tag on it.
This is the art of Danny, I think.
Let's see. Oh, that Danny.
Yeah.
Oh.
So this shirt, which is amazing.
It still has its tag on it.
I told you, I opened them and then it was a hard summer. So that one, I got this lanyard, Star Wars Celebration 22 lanyard. It has Darth Vader and Darth Maul and the Mandalorian and Ahsoka and Luke and a little silhouette here.
I like this one.
And then I got this Ahsoka shirt. Look at this one.
Oh.
Look at that one. Remember when I did my countdown to Ahsoka? I had Ahsoka things that I totally forgot about.
Oh, God.
So this is a really cool shirt. That one. And then I also have this Ahsoka shirt. It was like the convention of Ahsoka.
Oh, that was the one that, that was the show where they first teased Ahsoka with some, scenes from it.
I got those lovely things. Oh, I have the pin. This it's a pin of Princess Leia. It's the Karen Hanlon, I think, drew them. And it says Trailblazer on it. It has Princess Leia on it. I'll take a picture and add it to our screen. And then they also sent me, and I will open this up and take a picture of it. I think I'll frame it now, actually. A beautiful poster where the entire Elite Squad signed it for me. I'm sorry.
I think I remember that too.
Yes.
Oh, my bad.
Careful.
2020
through 2023 was really hard, right? Well, 2024. I'm just saying, like, we had the pandemic. Celebration Anaheim was supposed to happen in 2022. It got canceled, postponed. It then got moved to 2022. Then I wasn't able to go. My mom passed away. You graduated high school. It was a long stretch.
It was a very long stretch.
And then we get through 2022, and then we start planning for Star Wars Celebration 2023, and things get happier and brighter. brighter. Blah. So 2023 is Star Wars Europe 3, the third time it's in London.
Yep.
Well, it's 4, so it's the third time it's in London, and I get to bring it's the fourth Europe.
Time in Europe.
Third time in London, and this time Walker is 19 years old.
Yep.
Caden is 15.
Yep.
But Walker being 19.
Caden was only 14.
14, that's right.
Yeah.
Walker was 19 and now old enough to volunteer and work.
Yep.
So
I was probably the youngest.
we decided that we would all go as a family.
Yep.
We'd bring you would volunteer, me and Dad would volunteer.
Yep.
And then we would bring Caden along, and he could just wander the convention center.
Yep.
Our wonderful friend Samantha was signing in the autograph area. She was able to get him a badge, so he was able to hang out in the green rooms and backstage because he had an all access badge.
Yep.
And we were able to enjoy Star Wars Celebration as a family for the first time, and the boys finally, after how many did I say? After 14 celebrations.
14 celebrations.
The boys finally got to experience the celebration.
Yeah.
So I'm going to turn it over now to you, Walker.
Me?
So you can tell...
That's a lot of pressure.
You can tell our followers, our viewers, your experience at Star Wars Celebration.
My experience of Star Wars Celebration. My experience of Star Wars Celebration was technically last year, but I've also kind of witnessed it from your perspective as well, because you have sent me a lot of pictures and such. But my first official Star Wars Celebration was last year in London, 2023. Let's just say the first day was very, very overwhelming. Do you remember when I was texting you constantly?
It was, I mean, for anybody, it's always overwhelming, but it was your first time.
Especially when you're doing your first time.
Yeah.
And when you're just a 19-year-old, like, you're probably the youngest crew member, and you're definitely the youngest Elite Squad member.
And you were the newest person, and you were in a foreign country.
I was in a foreign country.
I mean, luckily,
which by that point I had been to a foreign country, which was China, but that was almost 10 years ago. Yeah. By then,
you had been to China when you were 9 or 10, so 9 years prior. You'd gone to Canada, but we went to Quebec, Canada, so they're speaking another language, so you knew it was like that. But this was like another big flight. We were in a place that you did not know, doing things that you had never really had to do. You've been to conventions your whole life.
Yes,
I mean, you've been going to conventions since you were 9 months old.
Yep.
But you had never done it in that capacity.
Yeah, it was. I mean, I was also stationed at the celebration stage, which is the biggest stage out of all the stages. So that was overall very overwhelming as well, because when it's your first celebration and you're being stationed at the biggest stage that basically will have all the celebrities and all the exclusive trailers and clips and such.
And everybody wants to be at that
Everybody wants to be at that stage.
Even though they're streaming it to the other stages, everybody wants to be
at that stage.
See people live.
Yeah.
So that first morning I think the other things that added to it was that you were jet lagged.
I was jet lagged.
Like, we had just arrived the day before.
Jet lag.
We hit the ground running. As soon as we put our stuff down, we grabbed something to eat, and then we went to the convention center to go do the walkthrough, and then we had shopping night.
We went to our rooms, and I was falling asleep, and
we had to wake you up.
Dad had to wake me up, I think it was, because I was just falling asleep because I couldn't help myself because of how tired I was.
Yeah.
it was early in the morning in Massachusetts, and then just turned, and then things just did a flip flop. And
yeah, and so you hadn't really eaten. You were probably dehydrated.
Yep.
We had to get you up super early in the morning because when you're working a celebration, you have to be there before people are there.
It was exhausting.
So Walker was exhausted, and he basically he became overwhelmed.
I was very overwhelmed.
You had a bit of an anxiety attack.
I did, but
but our good friend Cher helped you.
But then
I
went back.
You went back. So you missed. What did you miss?
I don't think I missed much, but when I
came back,
I came back and I saw the first clip of Mandalorian season 3 episode chapter 23, the scene with Captain Pelion that we first see. And when I walked in, I was just like, what the heck is going on? And I look at it, I'm just like, that white mustached man, he looks oddly familiar. I'm just like, wait, could it be? And then Moff Gideon says Pelion's name. It's like, oh my god! Oh my god!
So I was saying to Walker, he was texting me. He's like, I can't do this, Mom. Walker, I get it. It's real. It's it's a little overwhelming. This is a new experience for you, a new environment. But everybody is in the theater, and you can go in the theater because you are a crew member, and you don't want to miss it because you've already put in all this effort. Yep. You don't want to miss the payoff, which is to be able to see all the trailers.
Yep.
So.
Yeah, I got to see that. It was such an amazing scene because only so many people had seen that scene. Yeah. And I was just like, oh my god.
Was that when Ahsoka was shown too, or was that at a different panel? Was that the Ahsoka panel?
I think the Ahsoka panel was the following. It was either that same day or the following day.
It must have been the following day because the first day is always slower day anyway. That's the first day. That's the welcome. But then there's usually I know that was an Ahsoka panel. Yeah. So then you saw the trailer. But once you got the next day, I was gonna mention that we the night before too was that when we went to that little pub and you had your first sip of beer?
It might have been the first. It might have been.
Was it the first day of the convention, or was the night before? It was the night before the convention.
I think it was the night before the convention.
Yeah. And so then the next day we came back, and I think you were more in the groove, and you found a role that you could do. Yep. And you knew where to find me if you needed me. Yep. So I was working backstage once again at the Star Wars Live stage. Yep. And. We also had some friends who worked the green room over in the autograph area, and so if somebody needed something to drink or a quick snack, we could always rely on our friends over there for that. Yep. But you could come over to the Star Wars Live stage and kind of find a quiet little corner if you needed to.
A quiet space. To either text you or the security guard who got to know me a little bit. He recognized you. He's like, "You looking for your mom?" He's like, "You looking for your mom?" It's like, "Yes, sir." And he's just like, "Follow me." Yeah. So you started to get to know people. Yep. And that sort of things. But what was your highlight of Star Wars Celebration, Walker? I don't know.
Star Wars Celebration London.
I mean, technically, I had 2 highlights.
Okay.
I mean, so first, number 1 was when they showed the exclusive Ahsoka trailer where they showed. For the first time, Lars Mikkelsen as Grand Admiral Thrawn. And I was just like, I lost my mind. You did. I lost my mind, and
I did not see it because they didn't show it over. They weren't live streaming that. They would cut it.
When I walked over to the live station, she's like, "Did you see a trailer?" I'm just like, "Well, I saw a man with a blue skin." I mean, if that's what you're asking me.
Yeah, we didn't get it.
It was such an amazing trailer.
Yeah.
But my number 1 highlight of the entire convention, the entire weekend, was... How should I start this?
So, let's see. How do we start this? Walker was backstage with me at StarWars.com, Star Wars Live Stage.
Because it was the celebration panel. The celebration stage's last panel of the day, and once everybody was in, we were free to leave. And
so he was done with his day. Yep. So he came over to hang with me. Yep. And we were all, this is what was happening, because you came over and I was like, Ashley's on the stage.
Yes.
And so we were hoping, because we had not seen Ashley all weekend, and we were hoping we would nab her on when she was coming off the stage. Yep. So you were hanging out, you and Caden were both hanging out backstage with me. Yeah. And we were watching Ashley chat on the Star Wars Live stage. And while we were watching, some 3 women came in from a back door, and I had noticed them, and one of my jobs was to kind of keep an eye on the back door and the front door and welcome people and get people where they need to go.
Yep.
And I was like, I didn't know who they were, and I was like, hi, you know, can I help you with something? And one of the women said, yeah, we're just trying to get our bearings. We're trying to figure out, you know, where we want to go. And I was like, okay, but you're in the backstage of the Star Wars Live stage.
But who were they?
So I politely said, I get that, but you're behind. And then the main woman was like, I'm Rosario Dawson's mother.
Did she actually say that?
She did. She's like, I'm Rosario Dawson's mother. And I was like, oh yes, I remember seeing you yesterday, because Rosario had come through, and with her family. And she's like, we have these badges and they get us anywhere. So we want to go places. And I was like, okay, well, where do you want to go? Right? I'm like, I'm happy to point you in the right direction.
Yeah.
Like, I just want to know where you want to go. And she's like, well, the truth is, we've never been to a show like this before, and
it's overwhelming for a show like
right. And they're like, we're not sure what we want to do or where we want to see. They're like, but we were kind of wanting to like go and do some shopping.
Yeah. To
look around and do some shopping.
Yeah.
And I explained, I was like, well, out on the other side of the curtain is the show floor. There's plenty of things to see. And I forget exactly how it turned out, but she was like, okay. And I'm like, but there's this space here, but then there's another space. And as I was explaining it to her, she seemed a little like, it seems a little overwhelming.
It is.
And I was like, my first instinct was like, well, if I didn't have anything to do, I'd be like, let me take you for a walk and I'll show you things. And I couldn't do it because I'm manning the door. Like, that's my job.
Because James wasn't there.
And James wasn't there yet, who was working with me. So I was like, Walker's just sitting at the table, and you're like, I don't know, you're looking at your phone, and I go, Walker, come here. And you're like, what? And I'm like, just come here. And I was like, Walker, I need you to take these wonderful women for a tour of the show floor. And you're like, what? You're like,
why?
What? And I was like, yeah. I'm like, I know you want to see Ashley, because you were like, but Ashley's on the stage. I'm like, I understand you want to see Ashley. Yeah. I'm like, but this is Rosario's mom, and she needs somebody to take her on a tour of the convention. And then Rosario's mom was like, yes, Walker, you must take us.
And I lost my mind. I was just like, what? My eyes went wide. I turned around and was like, what? And then I'm just like, well, I will happily be your tour guide.
Yes. So Walker, it was Rosario's mom, her best friend, and her best friend's daughter.
Yep. And
you took them out onto the floor to show them like where things were, and they did some shopping. Yep. And you got to like wander around for a bit.
I will say, so when you told me to go walk with them around the convention floor, Rosario was walking to her like autograph booth, and she's like, oh, there's my there's my daughter now. Let's go say hi. I'm just like, oh, okay. And
oh, that's right. And
then I walked behind, and Rosario was signing autographs and such, and Rosario's mom, who's such a sweetheart, by the way, she like got Rosario's attention, and I was like, hi.
And she was like, this young man is going to take us for a tour.
Pretty much.
Like, so after they took you guys came back from walking the floor, Rosario's mom was like, oh, you know what, why don't you come over and see Rosario, and you guys can take a picture. And so she invited both me and Walker back behind the curtain of Rosario's booth, and we got to meet her and take a picture, and I will have that picture.
We will absolutely put that up.
It was a very sweet moment, but it was just, like, you were there. Yeah. Had you not been there, I would have been like, I would have tried to explain to her like where to go, but like there was nobody there to do the job. It was just so.
If there were still panels that were happening, I probably wouldn't have been there, and none of that would have happened ever. Yeah. But I'm so glad it did, because it was basically like after that whole wild ride, it became the talk of like the rest of the day with the elite squad, and you were telling Dad, and Dad's like, what?
I know.
And you were telling everybody else, and it was probably the biggest honor. It's by far my favorite memory of Celebration, by far my favorite thing that I had done. I enjoyed working at the Celebration stage, and I hope to work at the Celebration stage again next year, but just escorting Rosario Dawson's family around the convention floor was just an honor.
So in essence, experience of Star Wars Celebration isn't necessarily always the panel that you go to or the collectible that you get because you stood in line for. But I really have found my favorite experiences were the people that you met.
Yes,
and the
absolutely.
Experiences, the things that happened to you in between going to the panels or standing in line for that one or getting that one collectible, right? The memories that my most vivid memories, my most cherished memories of the people that I met while I was standing in line, or the people or the experiences that I got to have while I was doing the work that I was doing.
The people you worked with,
and the people I work with, and that to me, at this point, I don't even know how I would do a celebration as just a regular attendee.
I know,
because I've been doing it as a behind the scenes person for so long.
Since it was my first celebration, I wasn't a attendee. I was a crew member. And
you're part of making the magic happen. It's like Disney, like a Disney World, right? You're part of making the moments special for people. But within that, you a lot of times you have your own special moments.
Yeah.
And you just never know what's gonna pop up and when it's gonna pop up. But it could be like tracking down a cheeseburger for Carrie Fisher, or it could be helping Ashley put on a fashion show, or it could be giving Rosario Dawson's mom and best friend a tour of the convention. Yeah. Like you never...
Or hugging Sam Whitworth.
Or hugging Sam Whitworth.
What? Sorry.
You just never know.
I know. What am I going to get on a chance?
But yeah, those are the memories. Those are the things that I cherish the most about my experiences with Star Wars Celebration. I love going to them.
They're truly amazing. If you haven't been to one, definitely go to one if you can. Because they're absolutely a blast.
They're a blast.
They're a lot of fun.
And my recommendation, if you've never been to a Star Wars Celebration, my recommendation is don't go in with any expectations for anything. Just go with the flow.
Yep.
Take in the experience, cherish the moments, those special moments, whether it's talking with other fans in line while you're waiting for a panel that you want to go to, or like wearing a costume and having pictures being taken of you, or that one opportunity where you may cross paths with somebody that you admire and you look up to. Those are the moments that are really going to matter. It's not really about getting into that panel and seeing the trailer of the next big thing on the stage that it's with the celebrities is super cool.
It's cool,
but there's all these other opportunities that you can get as well, and I think they're just as memorable and important and worth the money that you spend to do it.
Oh, they're definitely worth the money.
Yeah. So that is in honor of, this is really, most of the time Star Wars Celebrations seem to happen around this time of the year,
which I find is super. I'm glad that they keep it on like this sort of the same week or close in the same week of previous celebrations. Like,
it's hard for some people. Like our friend
people.
Margaret is a school teacher.
Yeah.
And so there's only been a few that she's been able to go to
because she can't
take the time off.
Yep.
So it is challenging. It's happened. So last year's in London happened on Easter as well.
Yep.
So we were all together as a family, so we were able to have Easter as a family, but our Easter was just working.
I had complete...
You forgot that it was Easter, didn't you?
Like a week and a half ago, when you told me, you're just like, we missed Easter last year. I was like, oh shoot, I'm just like, I completely forgot that Star Wars Celebration was on Easter, and we didn't really celebrate, but you did give me and Caden like some plastic eggs with some like candy, and
so
that was our Easter.
Brought across the pond, that's what we call the Atlantic Ocean,
across
the pond, 20 packages of Peeps.
Oh, that's right. I remember that.
My carry-on was filled with Peeps, and like 2 dozen or 3 dozen Star Wars Easter eggs. The peeps were given to my peeps, my fellow Elite Squad members. I made a little gift bag.
We're your peeps.
You were my peeps, right? So I gave peeps to my peeps, and then on Easter that day, on Easter Sunday, when the celebration was happening, in my bag I had a bunch of Star Wars Easter eggs, and whoever I would come in, whether it was a young child that might be standing outside the curtain waiting for the next panel to happen, or whether it was somebody I was working with, I would give them a little Star Wars Easter egg.
Sunday was the last day, wasn't it?
Yeah, it would be the last day.
Yeah.
So that's how we spent Easter last year.
But
it
was a fun
few
Easter.
times it has landed on Easter.
It was a fun Easter.
It was a fun Easter. It was a different kind of Easter.
It was a different kind of Easter, but it was a really fun Easter. I mean, that may be the case if we go next year. So it's quite possible that we may not have an Easter next year either.
I don't. Easter falls on a different time. I don't know when Easter is next year.
No, we'll find out then.
We look on the calendar and find out. I forgot there was one other thing.
Oh.
Star Wars Celebration London. Forgot one more thing. So I told you the previous Star Wars Celebration, I got to meet Samantha, who was the first Stormtrooper.
2019. Yeah. No, 2016.
2016.
2016.
Was the first female Stormtrooper on screen.
Yep.
This year, last year at Star Wars Celebration, she's been in actually several of the Star Wars movies at this point.
She's been in like most of them.
Most of them, but she in Rise of Skywalker. Rise of Skywalker, she was an X-Wing pilot.
Yep.
And so her face appeared on this Star Wars Celebration t-shirt, and I got it, and I was so very excited.
I think the camera is actually catching it right now. Yeah.
There you go. But I was very excited about getting a shirt.
You were very excited about that.
I was. That was like one of my treasures from Star Wars Celebration London.
It's a cool shirt.
Yeah. All right. Well, when we come back, we're going to do our conversation cards. Okay, we're back. Speaking of London, this is where we got these Star Wars conversation cards. I got them in London at Forbidden Planet, and I think you get to pick this time. So it's this one. Because I picked it last time, didn't I pick? Oh, no, I picked last. You picked, because it was technology.
Last time. Yeah.
I get to pick. So we do our conversation, and make it fast, because we've got an hour and 18 minutes. The Force. It's the Force. A crime syndicate has taken control of a farming town. You're a Jedi Knight. You can bring 6 Jedi with you to save the town. Which Jedi, regardless of the time period they belong to, do you choose? Oh, that's a lot.
Oh, yay.
All right, I'll just answer it. See if you answer it quick, because you probably know more Jedi than I. Go ahead. 6 of them.
Luke.
Yeah.
And
it doesn't have to be. It can be any. You can go pick from anywhere.
Luke, Mara.
Yep.
Jaina.
Yep.
Jason.
Yep.
Anakin. Ahsoka.
Oh, that's a team.
That's quite the team right there.
I would go Luke, Mara, Jaina.
Yep.
Rey. Corran.
Cornhorn. Ooh.
And who else did you?
I said Jason as well. I said Anakin. Kip Durin.
No. Obi-Wan Kenobi.
What's wrong with Kip Durin?
We're not going to go there. That's another podcast.
Ooh, yeah.
Anyway, a whole podcast on Kip Durin. No, I don't think so. All right. So that is our conversation. That was our answer. We know that we weren't really long. Thank you for following along with us.
Yeah. So
good.
Make sure to like, comment, favorite, and subscribe, and turn on that notification bell to get notified to when we upload a new video.
We appreciate you following us, and don't forget to follow us on Instagram. My experience, your experience.
May the Force be with you always.